I'm going to make a 1950s dress out of this pattern and out of this Indian block print. Now you will notice that I am pregnant in this video, but I am not pregnant anymore. I am posting it now because I can actually model it. Okay, so this is the front piece that I just cut out, and if you are opening up your pattern as well, they do a facing for the bodice. And I am getting rid of the facing because I am going to do a lining, a cotton lining on the inside. I traced out all the pattern pieces that I needed. I cut 2 sets of lining pieces, I'll show you in a minute, and I'm going to cut 2 back pieces of the print fabric, only 2 of the back, not the front, and I only mark my darts on the lining pieces. I'm gonna cut out the back piece. I'm gonna make sure that there's a flower on both sides. I have this first piece cut out here, going to matching this with another flower, lining it up. You can see this flower matches here for the most part, and this one matches here for the most part. So I cut out the bodice. And here, these are the 2 back pieces. You can see the flowers match. We're gonna have even flowers. Instead of having a flower here and there, it's gonna be even, Steven. Next step is lay out your lining pieces, add the block print on top. I'm gonna stitch around the edge 1/4 inch all the way around, and this is gonna be one fabric piece. I'm gonna treat it as one fabric piece. Now that they are one piece, I can pin my darts up and stitch them accordingly. I have my back pieces sewn in with 1 set of the lining, and I'm ready to move on. Next, I sewed all the lining pieces together, and I had to do a fitting. If you want to see how I do that, hit the subscribe button because I'm coming out with a video on that. However, with this bodice, I did not cut out the front pieces out of the Indian block print, and let me show you why. So I pinned the front bodice of the lining, only the front bodice of the lining, to the mannequin. And I am basically just draping the fabric in a crisscross way because I want a crisscross design on my bodice. And I'm not being super detailed. I'm just folding wherever it looks right and manipulating the fabric, which is basically like a draping technique. So then I added the other crisscross going the other direction, and I matched the fabric up with the seam allowance along the side of the neckline. And then here you'll see I trim all the excess fabric underneath so that it's not so bulky, and I trimmed around the armholes so that obviously we can put our arms through. So I trimmed all the way around the bodice to see where I was at, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's that raw edge down there of the pleats. So I decided to add another fold draping going across the bottom just to create more interest. And then I just trimmed off that from there, and voila, that's done. That, my friends, is why I did not cut out the front piece of this bodice in the Indian block print fabric, because I wanted to drape it to one of the layers of the front linings. Now I'm gonna have a separate lining that's gonna go inside this, but that was what I was using the lining for. Next, you'll grab a 100% cotton piece of fabric, lay it over the dress, jack the iron up, and fill it with water and just steam it down. Even if you have to take the mannequin and lay it on the table and just press away, link below to the mannequin that I use, by the way. In tacking this down, I'm gonna go all the way through the back of this pleat here, and I'm gonna come up and grab just a snag and do a little stitch there to keep it in place so it doesn't come undone. And I'm gonna do that every now and then, everywhere. Finish off that little stitch there. And then if I do that around these pleats, it'll keep them all in place and it won't look like there's stitching keeping it in place. Then I basted all the way around the front piece to keep it all in place. Done tacking it down, and we can just proceed with making the dress. I sewed all the bodice pieces together, and I'm about to add the lining to the inside of the bodice. If you want to see how I do this, see my video below on necklines. That's the principle that I used. So once I had the lining in, I had to do the sleeves, but I also used the same principle in my neckline video on how to finish my armholes. So see the link below. And the sleeve hole is nice and clean and finished. I cut out the skirt pattern with the pattern that they provided. I did not make up my own pattern for that. I serged it together, and then I put the gathering stitches at the top of the skirt so that I could actually sew them to the outer piece of the bodice, not the lining, just the outer piece of the bodice, because I'm going to close it between the outer and the lining. Last minute, I decided to add boning to the bodice because it just needed a little bit more structure. Then I folded the lining to the waist and where the gathers are, and then I hand stitched it closed so you don't see any raw edges. I installed an invisible zipper to close it up. See link below. I have a video on how I did that as well. Voila, this dress is finally done and I am not pregnant anymore. I am able to wear this dress. I made this dress probably 10 months ago. Tell me which shoes, the red shoes or the soft pink shoes? Decide which shoes actually go with this dress. I know this is probably more period correct because it's more gentle. However, I just can't but help and think how pizzazzy this adds to this dress. So I am a fan of breaking some rules to make this a little bit more exciting. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and I will see you next time.